Good afternoon. I'm surprised you're still here. Thank you for the introduction, Osma. I have to correct you in one thing. It's the sole author of these slides are Jim Hahn. So I'm, basically I am Jim Hahn right now. Yeah, I know. It was put on at the last moment. But, so you will have to bear with me if I stumble a bit, because he had to cancel really late. At this point, I should point out that even though Jim has written the slides, this underlying work is very much a group effort within the Share-VDE project. And I think Share-VDE was mentioned earlier today also, but it is a collaboration project between several large academic and national libraries in North America and also Europe. And it's coordinated by an Italian company called Casalini Libre, who also does all the software development and also maintaining the infrastructure. One of the primary aims of the project is to gather metadata and authority data from all the member libraries and process that into a consistent and well-structured graph of bibliographic entities, and make that accessible for exploration at the Discovery portal. And this task is, of course, extremely challenging, not least because mostly the source data are MARC records, created from a variety of practices over a long period of time and various traditions. So that's one of the reasons that we need a sound conceptualization of the bibliographic entities, or in other words, an ontology. And the task of developing such an ontology was allocated to one of the working groups in Share-VDE called Sapientia Entity Identification Group. It's a rather pretentious name because Sapientia means wisdom, I think. But that's the group that has to do anything with data modeling in the project. And the members are listed here. Now, the mentioned Share-VDE discovery environment is a very important outcome from the project, and as such also, of course, a key indicator of the quality of the data processing, because it's very visible if two Jane Austens are listed there, or if some works are clustered that shouldn't be, and so forth. And the beta version is available via this link, so if you wish to check it, you're welcome. It's not that bad, actually, in its present state. So what led up to needing an ontology? Now, much of the data processing is about discovering bibliographic entities, of course, and to discover when the same person is mentioned in several records, or the same or books are published at the same publisher, and so forth. In the project, we refer to this as clustering. And it was clearly recognized that we need a more abstract concept than BIBFRAME work was able to cater for. Because this project, in the beginning, it was very BIBFRAME oriented, and it still is, but in the beginning it was, the members basically came from the United States, and that was BIBFRAME. Then we sort of designed a concept called superwork to make a more abstract concept, but it wasn't really defined, and there was a lot of ideas, different ideas as of its meaning. What does it mean? It was different in everyone's head. And also, in the recent years, more members had joined the project, and also members that are more inclined towards RDA and LRM. Like my institutions, for example, and also many of the other European members. So there became a need to be sort of interoperable with also that, with LRM and RDA. So all in all, that led to the creation of two new classes called Share-VDE work and Share-VDE Opus, Opus being more or less a renaming of superwork. So if you've heard of superwork, you can forget that now. Yeah, as I mentioned, we should highlight that the Share-VDE ontology is still based, it's very firmly based on BIBFRAME and its core, three core concepts, forming the backbone of BIBFRAME, and I don't have to repeat, it was presented in the last presentation, but you have the work as the most abstract class, then you have the instance, which is the physical or material embodiment of a work, and then the item, which are copies, actual physical or electronic, perhaps, copies. See. A little bit about the ontology itself, and first about the process of developing it. We have some goals. We wanted to represent our ontology in a formalism that allows us to define things and relationships in a very unambiguous way, and that means OWL in practice. And as I mentioned also, we wanted to clarify the relationships between the Share-VDE entities, Share-VDE ontology entities, and other linked data models like RDA and LRM. We always say RDA and LRM, but RDA is an implementation of LRM, so it's basically, we need to mention only one of them. And of course, in general, we wanted to create consistency and clarity to the entities that we used in the data processing. Our guiding principle, so to speak, is that we don't want to create something that is created before if we can reuse it. We want to reduce complexity, not create complexity. And that way we wanted to, as it is already BIBFRAME based, we wanted to create the extra things as an extension to BIBFRAME and try to make it interoperable with LRM. Here is the development process depicted. This has must have been going through a really cleaning process in Jim's head, I think, because it looks much cleaner than it was, or is. But the 3 steps is to sort of identify and evaluate the existing the classes to use and try to place them in the context of the other ontological world, so to speak. And then add properties and also try to discover what kind of constraints we need to put to the classes and properties. For example, which domain and range, if any, should be defined for a property. Should we define a property, a sub-property of some other property, and so forth. Here is an overview of the main part of our addition to what we call the Share-VDE Ontology. And one thing with BIBFRAME that is different from LRM is that the BIBFRAME work class, so to speak, merges the features of both LRM and work and LRM expression. That's how it is defined or in theory. Now, in practice, I think most actual BIBFRAME work instances out there are more close to expressions. That's how it is used. So it's a bit hard to use it. In Share-VDE, we wanted to have this distinction because that was something we discovered with this data processing. It's if you don't have any more focus class that we can use for clustering entities, it will just be a long list of BIBFRAME works. So we wanted to distinguish between the expression side of things and the work side of things. And that meant we have defined this class Share-VDE Opus that is more or less similar to RDA work and LRM work. And then we also defined a class also called work in the Share-VDE namespace and declared that as a subclass of BIBFRAME work. But the Share-VDE work is then to be compared to expressions. So that is sort of the extension of BIBFRAME. The Opus class we didn't declare as a subclass or anything in BIBFRAME. There are several reasons for that, but I don't think I shall discuss that now. But not doing that means that we also need to define the properties for that class in our own namespace. We cannot use BIBFRAME hasExpressions, for example, because BIBFRAME hasExpression has a domain and range, some BIBFRAME entity. Here's the other thing that is more of a work in progress right now. We early detected the need to talk about different kinds of opuses or different kinds of works. And rather than defining subclasses of opus, we thought that it would be better to define a typology that can evolve over time and link that to the opus entities. So the framework for this right now is that we have a class called opus types with named individuals for each type, and then a property of Share-VDE Opus that points to an instance of Opus type. There are other ways of doing that, and that will probably be discussed, but right now it's like this, we have done it. And the list or the set of types are not finalized yet. It's very hard to sort of keep the typology on the LRM work level. It's very easy to come with, okay, text is a type and audio is a type, but it's not really an Opus type. But they are there right now. Okay, just for the rest of the presentation, I will just go through the entities and properties that we have defined, and yeah, show how we have defined them. Share-VDE work, our definition is that it's a constellation of elements representing the specific intellectual or artistic form that an opus takes each time it is realized, in quotes. And here is the specification in OWL. You can see it's a subclass of, I don't know if you see this, it's a subclass of BIBFRAME work, has a label work, and it has its definition. And then also we have a close match relationship to expression in LRM and expression in RDA. Then the opus. Opus is defined as a distinct conceptual outcome of artistic or intellectual activity. The highest level of abstraction in Share-VDE, and opus is an entity that permits the grouping of works that are considered functional or near equivalents. So here is the same. We also declare that as a disjoint class to Share-VDE work. We don't want to have entities that are both expressions and works. And we have a close match relationship to LRM work and RDA work. And there is also a general relationship to the BIBFRAME hub. I haven't mentioned that, but I don't know whether you know that or not, but it's in the latest version of BIBFRAME, there is also a subclass of work called hub, which is a grouping mechanism different from RDA work. It's just operationally defined in the sense that if these and these and these are fields are equal, then it's part of this hub. And a typical hub, example of a hub might be, for example, all Spanish translation of Pride and Prejudice as a typical hub. So I think it was created as a sort of user interface feature to make the browsing more pleasant. But we haven't really clarified how our opus class relate to hub, but that's something we will have to discuss. Yeah, here is the specification how it relates to hub right now. It says in a comment here that hub and opus are not the same. There is a relation among these classes in the sense they gather BIBFRAME work entities by BIBFRAME hasExpression or Share-VDE hasExpression respectively. This is kind of a sore point right now, how to handle the relationship to hub. Yeah, it's the Opus type, as I mentioned, nothing unusual about that, I think. And then, as I said, we had to define a hasExpression from Opus to Share-VDE work. And we also created close match relationship to the respective in LRM, respective property in LRM and RDA. Okay, I think I need to. Yeah, we also created a has type, an over general has type property to which is a supertype of has Opus type, in case we need to also create typologies for other entities. I'm not convinced yet that we need that, but that we need this has type, but that's also a matter of discussion. Yeah. As I said, we are struggling a bit with how to relate to the hubs, but we have defined a relationship called in-hub from Share-VDE work to hub. So we'll see what comes of this. Just the last thing is a bit interesting point. We thought it should be easy to find a defined relationship to match between classes and in ontologies. And we didn't find anything. If you want to map something, it has to be a SCOS concept. And if you don't have a SCOS concept, there is no. In OWL, it's only equivalence, and it's really strict and formal. So we had to create our own in the Share-VDE namespace called. And this is created as an annotation property, so it's not necessarily to be used in the reasoning if you have a reasoner, but of course you can do that if you wish. Yeah, that's. I think Jim has published in pre-release of this ontology at this link, if you wish to look at it. There are problems there that we know about and which are under discussion, but if you have any input at all, we are grateful. Okay, to conclude, we have defined what we call a Share-VDE ontology, which actually includes the BIBFRAME ontology with some extra extensions. And we did that to support the discovery of linked data entities in the Share-VDE.org discovery portal. And we found that this is particularly necessary for federated search when you are creating and massaging data from very different sources and very many sources. And our current finding or current experience tells us that this is a good approach. I mean, using BIBFRAME with this extension seems to get very much out of our MARC records. It's not without errors, of course, but still, I think it's when I consider the data that we ingest, it's not bad. And the last point is that we also try to maintain a interoperability with LRM all the way, even though it is this is an extension of BIBFRAME. Okay, that was all.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments to Oddrun? Okay, here's one.
So if I understood you correctly, is it the one that doesn't work?
I can hear you.
I think you said, thank you. I think you said the Opus entity relates to work via the hasExpression relationship. And if I understand,
Share-VDE work.
right, oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, forgive me. So what I'm wondering though is, and this is a very naive question, what made you call it Opus and not expression?
Well, not, what you should ask is, why did you call it work and not expression? I think that was what you meant, probably.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, designing an ontology is about consensus, and sometimes you have to just give in. At the time, the labeling there was a very fair, in a way that we was on our way away from BIBFRAME. There was some strong feelings that we should call it work, and that's how it. So we have to say Share-VDE work, which is an expression. It's,
I can see how these entities would make interoperability with LRM easier, but I don't see where the BIB framework fits in here. And has there been trouble with being interoperable with native BIBFRAME data from places like the Library of Congress, who aren't using works and expressions in the same way? I'm wondering if this flavor of BIBFRAME sacrifices interoperability with the rest of BIBFRAME in order to get interoperability sort of with RDA and LRM.
no, I can't see that. I mean, as long as if they don't want to subscribe to RDA work or Share-VDE Opus, they can just ignore it. I mean, every Share-VDE work that is created in this project is also a BIBFRAME work because it's a subclass.
But going the other way, how are BIBFRAME?
Yeah, okay. I think that's a future problem because, you know, all the data. Yeah, I know. And I'm not sure how far Casalini has come in that, because the data processing so far has been from Mark. But now I realize it also BIBFRAME data will come in there. But I mean, I'm not sure that would be, I mean, you cannot take, I'm not sure that would be more difficult than processing Mark data with this extension. I mean, you have to, if you receive a regular BIBFRAME data, you have to figure out, is this a Share-VDE work or is it an Opus? And sorry?
There's no way to figure that out unless it's one of the handful that has a hasExpression relationship with the network.
Yeah, but they have attributes. I mean, the description of a BIBFRAME work. If you have, for example, the title in the original language, or I mean, there are lots of ways to figuring out whether a BIBFRAME work is a.
So which level of
abstraction? Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. May I ask one quick question? So I see this work as really sort of plugging in the missing parts of BIBFRAME to make it actually usable and to make it compatible with RDA and LRM, but it's all done in the context of this Share-VDE project, which of course has many big players in it, but it's still just one project. So do you, I mean, okay, now I just heard that you have published an early version of the ontology, but do you envision this to be used outside of Share-VDE as well? Is this something that others should start adapting, or have you thought about this?
I don't think I'm the right person to, I mean, this project is so huge, I'm not sure what the strategies are, but I personally would think so, that this is meant to be an open ontology, of course.
Okay, let's thank the speaker, Oddrun, once more.